But I'd love to hear, well, we'd love to hear the story of Torch. I realize that it's been going for a few years, and I'll just read what your website says and hand over to you. Torch is a helping hand from local churches, facilitates a network of local churches and charities working together to provide a helping hand to those who otherwise cannot get help and tend to fall through the gaps of existing provision. So over to you, Mark and Melanie, to give us 20 minutes or so of the story behind your practice, the Brookside practice and Torch, and what's going on in Reading. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be here. Thank you for the invitation. And Melanie and I are going to share. I'm going to kick off with a little bit of the background to Torch, and Melanie, being our parish nurse, is going to pick up on the health side of things after my introduction. Now, yeah, just by way of introduction, so Torch was birthed in COVID. When churches came together across Reading to meet what was an unmet need, people stuck at home at the time, and churches across Reading have been continuing to work together since then. And we're very much a distinctly Christian charity, as you can see in the strapline, a helping hand from local churches. So that's the first marker. Those who were at the table when we were working out a name, settled on the word Torch and settled on this strapline. We wanted to be distinctly Christian. All the volunteers for Torch are Christians, and that's because you can't represent the church without knowing the Lord in the first place. So our mission has grown from those days of helping people at home with food to a much broader offering of lots of practical and personal stuff, from DIY and gardening to advocacy, IT, appointments, basically anything that we think that we can do to support the community. And we're very much driven by this verse in Ezekiel, the standing in the gap for people in the town who really have no other means of support. And by that, our access criteria mean that if you can find help from your family or friends or a neighbor or another charity, then that's fantastic, and we'd encourage that. We really want to be there for those who have absolutely no one to help them and don't have any financial means, and so that has been very much our driving force, and so well aligns with parish nursing as well. So we started out in 2021. When Torch itself was launched. It was originated back in the early days of COVID with some local churches, but was constituted in February 2021. And since then we've grown, and this is just an idea of Reading. The black line, this is our mission field. Reading Borough Council sits in the middle, and to the western side we've got a bit of West Berkshire and Wokingham down in the bottom corner here, and there's about 220,000 people living in that space. And across that space we've connected with lots of churches, and you can see a lot of the dots there, variously from partners who help fund us to supporters who advocate and would come alongside us. And then in the colors there, we've got areas where we have existing parish nurses. This is a parish nurse in the south of Reading, Jill Anders, who was very much an inspiration to Melanie starting, and Melanie works in Southcote and Coley, these two areas here. These are three areas of deprivation. And if Amit Sharma were here, he'd be advocating for an area we have our eyes on for the future of a parish nurse in Lower Early here. So that's just to give you a little bit of context to us. And our journey has been very much characterized by churches working together. So this is our growth in referrals over time. Amazingly straight line, funnily enough. It's got steeper in the last year. We had 40% more referrals in the first 3 months of this year than last year, same period. But what's been critical to us is that all along there is at one end we're helping individuals in the community, but at the other end churches are working together. and sharing and loving and caring for people in the name of Jesus. And so each time we've made a key critical decision in the next step of the charity, it's been with multiple churches involved in that process. And over time, what's happened in 5 years or so is that what Torch has become recognized across the town as a conduit between the needs in the local community and the resources of the church, so that you don't need to call one of the 100 churches that sit within that outer limit I drew, but you can call Torch and we'll find a solution from the local church. And that might be because we have our own volunteers, or that might be because we will onward refer to the church and pass on to a men's group. Maybe it might be because we can access other Christian charities in the town. It's a remarkable ways in which we can serve the majority of requests which come our way, and Reading is particularly blessed in that regard. And so over the years now, we've just passed 3,000 referrals into Torch. This just gives you just an idea of each one of those little flames out of our logo is the 3,000 referrals. Now there are some that we can't help because they're outside our access criteria, but nevertheless, every single one of those is an opportunity. And it's what's particularly interesting to us is an opportunity expressed usually because of a high level need. Maybe it might be a practical need: put up a curtain rail, help me recover my garden, get to a medical appointment. But we always know beneath that there are deeper needs, there are opportunities, and everyone is also an invitation to go into somebody's house. So we are not knocking on doors. These referrals are coming from social services, from social prescribers, from the police, schools workers, from the general public, and from the front door team at the council, who know that when the council can't help, they will often send people to us as being the charity of last resort in the town. And so it's a joy to see that map growing, and our greatest delight is to have a referral and find the nearest volunteer and the nearest church to that referral and try and connect them so that people are helped by people within their own community as much as we possibly can. So just to round off my own piece here and lining into Melanie's, so much of what we do at a practical level, it does have some very dramatic pictures to go with it, like this gentleman's garden you can see here with brambles right up to the back. Actually, the brambles climbed up to the bedroom upstairs as well. I stood in that lounge with him. He had not been out of that house for several years. He had PTSD. He was referred to us by a social prescriber, and we sat with him and talked with him about the anxiety he felt because he was worried those brambles were going to set on fire. And so he slept in the daytime and his son slept at nighttime to protect what they thought was the fear of the house catching fire. And so we, with some professionals, helped organize, in this case, it was a Christian landscaping contractor, remove the brambles. Torch then cleared the debris, filled a skip, put the fence back, and you can see his quote there about the difference that made. But that, if you like, is a small snippet of many things that are unseen also, and that gives us an opportunity to capture people's responses. You can see in the graphs at the top there. We do surveys of people who've been helped. And it's always gratifying that you see the impact, even that 20% of people nearly think there's been a spiritual impact for them as well, which is great, encouraging. But what our journey has been characterized is slowly beginning to understand that underlying so much of what we're doing is people's health. We may have a practical issue to deal with, but it's really driven often by their poor health and their poor well-being. And so that leads us to this idea that we're offering transformation to people, restoration and hope by looking at the wholeness of their life and their circumstances, which ties in so well with parish nursing. And that leads me to hand on to Melanie, who joined us just a year ago as part of our journey. And we hope the first of several parish nurses, but I'm going to let Melanie pick up the story from there, and she'll tell you her own personal adventure coming to Torch. So over to you, Melanie.